so
right,
I think there's this perceived idea of America. Okay, based on the Constitution, Americans think that's really important, right? Because in that is the Bill of Rights, is the freedoms that we're supposed to, the rights that we all have. But in there, it explicitly states that these rights are protected. And so, regardless of what our foreign policy ends up becoming and all the BS that we're responsible for that our government does in our name overseas, and because of the media, we all get behind it, right? America, and all that. I mean, we don't, but they try to convince us all that this is the thing we need to be doing. There's this idea of America that I would say most Americans kind of cherish, and you can take stabs at that belief, that ideology. Well, look what America does, blah blah blah. Well, obviously, me and most Americans I'm referring to are not talking about that BS. It's the idea that we're here and we're free. And I mean, why are people still coming to America?
It's the ideal, right?
What is so special about this place? People are coming here from everywhere, and so.
But also Europe and Canada.
What
Just
about?
saying, they go to Europe as well.
Oh, sure, yeah. Well,
Yeah, I'm just saying. It's not just America.
oh yeah, right. It's not like just people are just coming to America from other places and that's it. But I mean,
the people that are coming here are geographically live around.
They're pretty close.
Yeah.
There's a border right there. So.
There's a border, and South America is pretty much connected with land, so you can kind of walk up this way.
Central America.
And we have produced conditions over there for those people to leave.
yeah, but I mean, in New
That's
York
another
they have a
conversation.
Chinatown, right?
They do.
Does Europe have a Chinatown somewhere? I mean, I don't know if they do or they don't.
Sure.
Do
Yeah.
they?
Australia has Chinatown. I've been there. Promise.
You been to the Australian Chinatown?
Huh?
You
Yeah.
been to the-
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's a big district. It's huge.
I mean, wherever Chinese people go, they have.
and plus, they're
their
right there.
own,
So,
yeah.
yes. It makes sense.
It doesn't matter where they are.
Oh, China's buying up a whole portion of Australia at this point, anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
China's buying everything up. Yeah. Everywhere. Africa, China.
Why do we hear about them so much in the news lately? Here?
Because they're making a lot of moves. Yeah. They have ambition, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. That's.
Well, they've said that the 20th century belonged to the West, but the 21st century belongs to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no analog to the kind of growth you've seen in China anywhere. It's unprecedented. As far as bringing people out of poverty, it's never been done before on that
doubt.
scale.
No doubt.
So they're feeling ambitious. They're feeling optimistic about their chances. And I think they have a good chance to surpass us, at least economically, pretty soon. So
Well, as long as so this could be said that whenever America has an outside threat, right? Like say Russia, they seem to be a pretty popular bad guy
Yeah.
for us. As long as we have that perceived outside threat, America seems to unite. We're all in this together. But now we don't have any outside threats. None of the big boy nations are threatening to do anything. I mean, as of last week.
yeah.
And so now you got this scenario where we're all looking inside at each other, all distrusting our neighbors and distrusting each other, and we're being divided. We're being divided. This is my main point: is the media is dividing all of us, and polarizing us, and they're doing it with labels. It's not that mainstream media is all evil. If you tune into CNN around noon, you're going to get your traffic and your weather and your whatever's going on that's factual that may benefit somebody.
Sure.
It's the opinionated stuff that comes on at 6 o'clock and 9 o'clock. That's they use these labels to divide us. Like if you can label these people white nationalists, which by the way, what is so negative about that term? If you're white and you're national, which is another word for patriotic, why is that all of a sudden a bad thing?
It's the way they use it on that side.
It's the way they use it.
No, it's the way white nationalists use it. Those guys, if you go to the websites like Daily Stormer or American Renaissance, you'll see the way they use it is very different than what you're thinking about. They use it, white nationalism, as to the degradation of everyone else except white people. That's the way they use it. That's
See,
why.
some of these terms people use, probably they don't even know how they're defined. You know what I mean?
I'm pretty sure Daily Stormer knows what they're saying when they say they're white nationalists, because they're neo-Nazis. So, no, they're avowed neo-Nazis. Andrew Anglin is the head of that organization. He's an avowed neo-Nazi. So when he says white nationalist, he knows what he means. He's not confused by the term. He knows what he's talking about.
When they say it, we believe it.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
they're
we
the
just
one
believe
that come.
Okay, so here's something.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago, we saw what happened at the Capitol. Okay, so when I was at work, a coworker asked me, Mike, what do you think about what happened at the Capitol last week? And I was careful about how I wasn't sure where we were going with this, right? So my response was, okay, well, looks like you had a lot of individuals who, for whatever reason, were unhappy with the results of the presidential election, and they chose to go have their voices heard by Congress. at maybe an inappropriate time for inconvenience time for some people, and so and then it ended up getting a little crazy. Now this person's response immediately was, "Those cops were white racists,"
Oh.
and so now. I would like to know where this, not really, but where does this person getting their news and information from? Obviously, it's skewed towards, you know, I mean, it's viewed through a certain lens.
Yeah.
No matter what happens, it's viewed through this lens right here, and that's that white people are doing bad things.
Sure.
And so, if you view everything through that lens, well, that's going to polarize you. That's going to divide you from everybody else.
Which cops did he say? The ones that were
The ones that were
Capitol Police, or
Yeah.
the ones that were in the right?
the ones that were letting people in to the Capitol.
So the ones that were friendly to the
Taking
rioters.
selfies.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it is kind of sympathizing with the enemy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you
The enemy?
if
I would say
what
they're
I
the enemy.
no,
Yeah.
what I would
I would say
is-
that.
yeah.
Why?
Who's the enemy?
People who broke into the Capitol. Yeah, that's,
They
yeah.
weren't broke. They were let in though.
Who broke the windows?
What windows?
The windows in the. You didn't see the broken windows? They were breaking the windows. They were knocking them out.
Wasn't that inside? I thought we were breaking glass on the inside.
No, they're breaking the outside.
No, they were using that flag to break the windows.
You can pull the video if you want to.
Yeah.
If you want
Okay,
to
so
see
no
it.
doubt they destroyed some property or whatever. But okay, so what was happening
So
there?
if
though,
you're a
was-
soldier and you're in Iraq and you're colluding with the enemy, then you are sympathizing with him, right? And
okay, but right now you guys are both identifying the people who gathered there as the enemy.
well, if you're destroying your own country,
If you have zip ties,
yeah, if
you walk into the Capitol. What are
you-
those for?
I mean, you're chanting, you're gonna, where is so and so? We want to hang him. And
Those aren't friendly people.
these are not. They didn't come there to have a coffee or beer.
To have a protest.
Okay, but there was over 1 million people there. Okay, so they all didn't arrive on the same bus.
Mm-mm.
Okay,
so that's
not
why,
according to Matt Gates. Was it Matt Gates that said, or no, Charlie Kirk?
Maybe Charlie Kirk.
He said he provided 85 buses or something. Now?
Yeah. Well, he has the money for it, so
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, so again, we can say what happened based on what we saw, and if we take all that in with our own eyes and use our own intuition and try to figure out what happened, and not use labels and not bunch everybody in with the actions of a few.
Well, that's what we're saying. We're saying
I mean,
that those
we
few,
agree with that.
we're not
We
saying
agree.
everybody else.
Yeah.
We're saying those people who broke in, who had zip ties, who were stealing shit. And
Yeah.
those are
Okay,
the enemy.
now this is something.
I mean, we're not saying you're the enemy.
Or the people just outside.
Yeah, just
No.
outside. I mean, we're not saying that.
Well, I don't participate in protests. Not that I don't think that people should. I mean, we have the right.
Yeah.
I think as long as we have the right to do something, we should continue to do whatever that right is, because once we lose a right, we don't ever get it back.
It's like a muscle. You got to exercise it.
Yeah.
No, true, yeah. And so what happens is when stuff like that happens and it gets reported on in a way that makes us either agree with the people or demonize them. Right?
Sure. I just don't know how you're neutral on that. I mean, what is a neutral answer to that reporting? I mean, what is a neutral take on what they did?
A neutral take. Well, I started off at a neutral position. I think that you had people that were individuals who were unhappy with the results of the presidential election for whatever reason. Either their guy didn't get in, or they thought that there was some underhands going on, or whatever. Because again, depending on where you get your news and information, there was, I mean, to say the least, Joe Biden did jump a lot of hurdles to get the win.
Yeah. Made
But
easier.
it worked both ways, right?
Made easier by Trump.
I mean, Trump did increase his vote count from the last time.
10 million votes.
Yeah.
That's a lot. It's a lot.
So it worked both ways.
So if Donald Trump got 10 million more than he did the first time, isn't there so once my brother found out that there was over 150 million people that voted, that's almost every single registered voter.
It's a lot of voters. You're right.
I mean, it should be like that every election.
That's how Europe is.
Yeah, but it's not, because most people are, don't bother. But this time, personally, I know people that have never voted in their life voted.
We both do.
Yeah.
That's how distasteful.
I registered 10 or 15 people myself, and they had never voted.
Huh, I got 5. Pretty good.
Yeah.
How many did you get, Mike?
3.
Anybody? You got 3? Yeah, I'm in the middle somewhere. All right.
So there was a will behind both camps that we are going to come and vote this time, because they saw what happened last time. And
Yeah, the circumstances this time were pretty extreme, right?
Yeah.
You have Donald Trump in office, who is the most polarizing person I've ever seen in office. You have a pandemic, people out of work, struggling, miserable. I mean, you saw the protests over the summer, right? The BLM protests, and just people are just on edge already, right?
Yeah.
They're angry, they want relief, they want something. And Donald Trump wasn't helping at all. I mean, he just kind of added fuel to the flames. So people really don't like Donald Trump, right? A lot of people really don't like him on a massive scale. It's not like a George Bush or Mitt Romney. It's just he has that built-in polarity about him. They just turns a lot of people off.
Okay, so I guess I get that. I mean, at the same time, though, he definitely embodies that. I'm not a politician.
But he is, right?
Well, he's a banker bot puppet, just like the rest of them, right?
I mean, we just talked about he just tells people what they want to hear. He does it. Politicians do. I
mean, okay, it's almost like when you have a religion. Even if somebody gives you a reason to not believe such a thing, you're just going to discard that because that doesn't fit into your paradigm.
Yeah, confirmation bias.
Confirmation bias, one of my favorite brain states.
Yep.
Now, when you're a Donald Trump fan, since we're talking about him, if somebody says something that you don't like about Trump, well, you're just going to disregard that because it doesn't really affect the fact that we love him for this. He's not this establishment, whatever. But I mean, he calls out fake news.
Yeah, sure.
But what was signing $6.2 trillion? How come none of his fans got mad about that? That's $6.2 trillion, man. That, to me, that's insane. That money doesn't even exist. It will never exist.
No.
So Donald Trump just made debt slaves, transgenerational debt slavery for the next. Okay, but here's what blows my mind.
Yeah.
Though.
I mean, that's another media, created idea where you have debt for life. There is no such thing. I mean, you're not. I mean, they said every man, woman, child is obligated for this much for this many years. There's no such thing.
What is
like
that debt, though, right? What is
Yeah.
a national debt?
Okay, so that's a good question, and I've always felt that. Okay, you guys might remember, you're around the same age as me, right? When we were growing up, maybe the late '90s, no matter what channel you were watching, before we had cable, there was this time period where there was the debt. The national debt was at the top of the screen.
Oh, yeah.
If you were watching one of the networks, and it was just always ticking, and it was
can still find it
it's so
someplace.
important. Okay,
that?
if it's so
That clock
important,
is still there.
Still there.
yeah, if it's so important, it's just steady going up. How come we're not doing anything about it?
It's not important.
If it's
because
not
it's
important, then
not.
why are we always talking about it? And I always
Politics.
imagine. Well, yeah, I've always imagined that there's this handshake that's taking place between government and the Federal Reserve. It's just you can borrow as much money as you want to, but we can just keep printing as much as we want to. And they're like,
It
"All right."
is. It is that way.
It's not imagined. It actually.
It is. I mean, it is. It's on both sides actually, and they know it, and they choose not to do
So-
anything about it. I mean, actually, they can't do anything about it because
No, they
I
can't.
mean, to create money. I mean, how does the money is created?
it's not printed.
Yeah, I mean, it's
The Federal Reserve creates it out of thin air.
They credit accounts, right? Just credit an account.
yeah.
So the debt, so like Japan's debt, right? It's 240% of its GDP. We're about what? Are we 100% yet? Are we?
About 120, we're getting there.
And they have almost 0% inflation.
Yeah.
How do they do that, right? Why is it not massive hyperinflation destroying Japan? Because they control their own currency, just like we do. This is why the debt's never going to be a problem, because it's our currency. We're not borrowing the currency from anybody else. Nobody
Well-
else can issue it except us.
Well, we're borrowing it from the Federal Reserve.
No, it's not borrowing at all. It's just being created. It's not a borrowing. It's not like like when Bernanke spent $29 trillion during 2009. I mean, that wasn't just created out of thin air. It wasn't like a revenue from us taxpayers.
I mean, Hank Paulson himself said it's just a matter of decimal,
Yeah, it's
moving
not.
decimal. I mean, it's the money is. even when the United States was created, the money that they created was out of debt. I mean, there was nothing behind it.
Right.
No. They just issued the currency.
Yeah.
And you believe it means something. And it does,
Yeah.
for the most part. I mean, it works as legal tender, right?
The only thing that is scary is the inflation part of it.
Well,
That's the thing that scares it. Debt is not a problem. Government debt is your deposit, your surplus. So,
That's another conversation, by the way. That's a
Yeah.
long conversation about
Yeah.
monetary policy. We can't do it here because there's too much to talk about media. But yeah, no one's worried about the debt, whether they say it or not. Republicans,
Yeah.
Democrats, nobody cares about it because they know it's not an issue. But we'll get
Okay,
back
so
to that.
I guess if I had a point that I wanted to make,
Yeah,
and
sorry.
I realize you guys have a somewhat of an audience. If I could engage you guys, and I know that we most likely disagree on a lot of political issues, but
Sure.
I wanted to find some common ground,
Yeah.
and maybe use your platform to get the word out, and again bounce it off you guys. But the media is destroying some of the fabric of the country because of the labels that they use. Okay, because they can put me against you and you against me just by labeling us. If I don't know how you identify politically, we could get along just fine. We could be building a fence together, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But as soon as they they label you in my eyes, I might go, oh man, that guy is a socialist. Oh no,
Uh-oh.
I can't talk to him. He's not going to want to keep my kids safe.
He hates
Wait,
America.
You want to keep your kids safe? I want my kids to be safe, right? Right. So we all really want the same things.
I've always said this, by the way. I've always had these conversations. I said, look, we're different parties, but we still go to work every day. We pay our taxes, raise our kids. We have wives and husbands and whatever. And buy
and that's true
groceries.
all over the world.
That's all over the world. That,
I mean,
politics
nobody.
is a small
yeah,
part of
yeah,
what we
I
actually
mean,
do.
I mean, if you're Mexican or if you're Canadian or you're European, whatever,
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. The only thing you're worried about is your family. You have a house, and you have something to eat, and that's all people mainly care about.
Ambitions and yeah.
I mean,
You want to get
I
some
mean,
pleasure
like,
out of life.
yeah.
Sure. So in this diet of life and trying to keep ourselves and our families safe and our friends too, right? We kind of pay attention to the world and what's going on, and we think we might be able to dodge a bullet if it's coming, and warn our friends about it. But when all you hear about is these people are these and these people are this, it polarizes us.
It does.
And
But that's where the money is.
But what can media do about it? I mean, what can they
it's
do?
about what we can do. We can stop letting it affect us in that way. We can stop being brainwashed by it. Stop believing everything they're telling us, because these people, they might as well just come out. They're not going to come out at the beginning of the broadcast. This is brought to you by the military industrial complex and Big Pharma and Pfizer. They're not going to say that.
That's like telling a Christian to be an atheist. Like that you've heard it your whole life, and then you're going to start and say, "Hey, it's actually not true." Okay, well, if you say it that way.
No, I mean, look, deprogramming is not.
It's hard.
It is hard, and it's not even comfortable, because being a
But how do you deprogram something
Stop
that
watching.
is?
well, I guess you have to-
Independent media.
It's not like it can't happen. It's not like you have never had a conversation with somebody and you felt like you were okay. They're coming over and they're starting to see what I'm saying.
I mean, that is true if you're willing to listen.
It's happened to me too. I've actually been brought over.
Yeah.
I've been convinced by a good argument.
What do you guys think about? What are the chances that Donald Trump was actually good for America? In some ways, not necessarily these ways, but like some other ways that nobody's.
I mean, he was good. He didn't start any war.
There you go.
He canceled the bad trade deals. I mean, that was good.
Prison reform was good.
Yeah.
That was good.
Prison reform was good. He labeled the media as fake media, and I was kind of glad, because they are fake. They don't tell you the truth.
Right.
Anyway.
But he didn't label Fox News fake media.
No,
was the
because
problem.
that was
Those are his buddies.
That was his buddy. So
until
yeah,
until they
but
they
overall,
turn
that
on
was-
him.
Yeah, that was,
Yeah.
yeah, they turned on him.
But he kind of shined the light on media, saying you guys show things from your point of view. At the same time, you claim to be independent.
I mean, you see it with Bernie
Which
as
is
well.
not.
Bernie was always treated like garbage on
Yeah.
MSNBC or CNN. They never aired his views. They never had progressives on. It was always anti-Bernie Sanders,
Yeah.
pro
Yeah,
Hillary Clinton.
I heard them trashing Bernie the other day with some. It was very unnecessary. and it was with these labels that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know? Okay, so let me ask you this. So I agree. That was one of the things I liked about Trump was that he called out the fake news. Do you guys think that that was probably part of his following? Is people who like, I mean, he's calling out the fake news. Yeah, we're being lied to by the mainstream media.
Sure. Yeah, why not? Yeah, we agree with that.
Yeah, I mean that was fine, but the thing is, these are the same people that started believing in the other fake things, conspiracy things.
Like the Q.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dude, any
So
day
they
now. Any day
went-
now.
No, it's March. It's in March.
Yeah.
It's coming in March. Like March 4th? Is that the new day?
I don't know.
I think that's what they said. Yeah. That's
yeah.
when.
So
before
they
FDR.
went from one end of the spectrum to the other, and instead of looking at it and researching and looking at it as independent, they started believing the other side of it. And it's, basically what the other side, what I'm saying is the conspiracy theories. And,
Yeah, it was definitely. It seems to be more cultish than a normal party. Like for us, like if you criticize Bernie, that's fine. We have our own criticisms, right?
yeah, we don't care.
But for his supporters, that hardcore, you can't criticize him at all, ever. Like, no, it's not true.
Okay, I
Yeah.
think wait, that's because, like I said earlier, when you're watching John Oliver, right? He gets Trump almost appears as the underdog at some point because he gets so much negative criticism that the people in his fan base are just like, man, you guys back off the guy for a second. And, I mean, yeah, dude. Again, criticize the guy
Close
for
ranks.
but criticize him for his policy. What we kept hearing was the dude's a racist. The dude won't disavow racism. He's racist. He's this. He's that. He doesn't like brown people.
But he didn't do that.
He
He didn't
just-
disavow. I mean, he
would
told
say
us,
it,
yeah.
Like he would wait a few days and then he would say like, oh yeah, I disavow. I don't know.
I mean-
Like, what about David Duke? He supports you. Who's David Duke? Like, wait a minute. You know who David Duke is? Come on.
I mean, he
No,
did
but
say
he-
that these are the fine folks. They're fine people on both sides.
No, he.
That was being political, wasn't that? Wasn't that more being like diplomatic? That was not trying to.
Yeah, but he's not diplomatic. That's the thing. He never was, ever. I never saw him
Well,
be
look, he's
diplomatic.
about himself, really. So anytime you ask him something about somebody else, he's like, I don't know, whatever.
What about me?
Yeah.
What about me? Yeah, no, I think he shot himself in the foot too many times. He just couldn't hold his tongue. He just wanted to speak out, blurt out things without thinking about it.
That's what all presidents do.
No, they don't. Like, if you look at the way Obama spoke, the way Trump speaks, it's so political. Everything is just rehearsed. It's just almost like, I don't know, it's almost too much, some professorial in a way. Trump
Yeah.
was never like that. Well, he doesn't come across as a intellectual type. He just doesn't, for whatever reason.
He's from New York, though.
From New York, man. What do we expect? Tough guy, but yeah, it's just different styles. That's all. And he was new. He was new. What do you got?
I mean,
You want to say something?
he controlled the narrative that he was a tough guy and he was a strong man
Yeah.
when he really wasn't. Because if you asked him a difficult question, he would just lose it because he didn't have the answer. He didn't have the intellect to answer those questions.
Unless he had the papers in front of him.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's like have you guys ever watched like a State Department briefing where the AP is asking them questions? How uncomfortable they get when they ask them real questions?
Oh, sure.
Like,
sure.
how does the State
that-
Department?
Yeah, that's no question about. Yeah, I'm on the same page with you. Absolutely. But they're not the president, so that's why it's different. He gets more airtime than they do. They may have more mistakes than he does, but you never see it. You see him all the time. Just the nature of being president.
People asked him simple questions and he would say, don't talk to me like that. You're fake, or
Yeah, I'm the president. You don't talk to me like that.
yeah.
It's
Well,
actually a
yeah.
question. No, he had thin skin for sure.
Yeah.
You really can't as a president. You got to be a little bit more resilient than that. But I don't know.
I mean, Fox News asked Obama, and I can't really remember this question. It was a while ago.
Yeah.
They asked him a question, and it was kind of a gotcha question. And he gave him a 15-minute answer. Basically, he took off his pants and spanked him on,
Maybe we should find that. I don't know.
Yeah. So, I mean, so that's the kind of thing that this guy lacked. And we knew that. I mean, we know that he doesn't have
Yeah.
that because he's always been in power. He was always on top of a corporation where he just, gave orders.
Yeah,
he had yes men's in front of him.
Right. You could tell at the debates too, AJ, where
Yeah.
the moderator would say, "Hang on now, Mr. President." He's not used to people telling him to be quiet.
Yeah.
No.
You know, what I mean, he's
No.
he's just everybody listening when he
I'm
talks.
still talking to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I mean, in his debates with the other Republicans, he kind of controlled it.
Yeah.
Which is pretty impressive, by the way. I was impressed by it.
Yeah.
And the names too.
I was like more entertained at first. you
Yeah,
know?
so was I. I was.
I mean, I was kind of glad that he pointed out that I gave all the money to all these bozos over here.
The truth comes out.
Yeah. So, and they had nothing to say.
No,
They couldn't say anything because I was in his office getting money.
You guys think we're getting the truth about COVID-19 and the vaccine and everything through the mainstream media?
Well, I look at
Truth as what? As far as what? Is it a hoax? Is it a real thing? Is it a? I mean, what do you call truth? That's the thing.
Yeah, I don't know how far you're going with that. Like, how is it?
What is
happening? Or
Well, just do you think that we're being told the truth?
I don't care what the media says, but the professionals, like the doctors, I have pretty much confidence in. Yeah,
The doctors on TV?
the doctors that release reports, whether it's Johns Hopkins or whether it's Fauci or whether it's the World Health Organization,
NIH.
European.
Yeah.
You guys have total faith in these organizations?
Total faith? No. Nobody has total faith in anything, I don't think.
Okay, you're not thinking, you're not even a little bit concerned there might be an agenda?
There may be an agenda. I don't know what it is. What do you think it is?
Well, I can tell you what it is.
Okay.
First of all, right now it's compliance. Everybody needs to be wearing a mask.
Okay.
If you want to participate in society, you want to go to work, or ride Uber, or enter this building, elevator, whatever, you got to wear a mask. I mean, you can see where this is going worldwide.
So you think it'll escalate from there to something else?
Absolutely. This is not the final step. This is just the beginning.
What's the final step, do you think? Final goal?
Well, now,
If
this
you were
is-
to try to extrapolate
okay,
out.
so are you familiar with Event 201?
No.
This took place at Johns Hopkins University. This is February 2019.
What is it?
Johns Hopkins Event 201.
Event 201.
Johns Hopkins University hosted this tabletop exercise. Bill Gates was present. You had a lot of CEOs from big corporations present. Basically, Event 201 was a live action scenario where they were going to simulate the pandemic from a coronavirus that would kill 65 million people and how they would economically recover from such an event. 2 months later is when we had the Wuhan breakout from China. And so Bill Gates, he's done at least a couple talks I've seen where he talks about global population, and the next thing we need to worry about is a pandemic. You know, we might come in this form, it might come in this form, but here's the same individual. He's the face of, here, I'm going to promote this illness, but I'm also pimping the vaccine. You know what I mean? I mean, that's suspicious, I think. You know what I mean? The same guy who's saying we're going to have a pandemic, he's funding the vaccine research, and he's also your go-to guy for what we need to lock down and everything. Who is this guy, dude?
Well, the government funds vaccine research also.
I know, I'm just saying, but not to the tune of billions of dollars.
Yeah, we do. The NIH? Of course we do.
We're not the NIH. What?
The government is. That's what I'm talking about. The government does that. At the NIH, that's what they do. That's where they get funding from.
I mean, all the drugs that you have are funded by taxpayers.
Yeah, NIH does that.
Not a single drug that, I mean, what they do is they put color in it or, form a, what kind of size of pill and all that's going to be. But
we fund that.
Yeah,
and
we
they give it
fund
to
it.
private companies and they sell it back to us.
I mean, we most of the research is done at universities.
That's not just
Yeah.
pharmaceutical. That's almost everything.
Sure. And a lot of these, okay, how about this? In 2010, the Rockefeller Foundation put out a paper called Lockstep. And on one of the pages, it describes how you can achieve global governance with using a pandemic.
They should have tried that in what was it, Spanish flu? They should have tried it then. Then had better luck, probably.
I mean,